In Disney movies, the working class heroine works hard, dreams big, and goes from rags to riches. But in Orlando, thanks in part to Disney's power and corruption, it's the opposite of a Cinderella story.
How shall you deal with me, O prince, and all the powers of hell?
While working people struggle, Florida lawmakers just gave Disney a $570 million tax break. That brought the total amount of corporate subsidies Disney has received to at least $2 billion. The tax break is supposed to help create 2,000 new jobs in Florida. That's 275,000 per job. But those aren't good, high-paying jobs for local Floridians. Instead, Disney is just transferring people who work in California to an office in Orlando. That's $570 million and no real new jobs for folks that live here in Florida. And that means Disney is a net negative when it comes to job creation here over the last few years. In September, Disney laid off 28,000 workers, mostly from its theme park division. It was understandable to cut costs during the pandemic, but the next month, the company announced another 32,000 workers who would be laid off by March of this year, right when vaccinations were ramping up too. Worse, Florida taxpayers had to pay for it. So how does a multi-billion-dollar corporation like Disney pull this off? How do they get away with so much taxpayer cash? It's not magic, it's money. Scrooge McDuck levels of money, at least for state legislators. Last year alone, Disney donated over $5 million to state lawmakers and Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, making them one of the biggest political donors in the state. Disney also shows a grand time to lawmakers by hosting their families with access to theme parks. Highly paid lobbyists fulfill wishes like the genie in Aladdin. But what are all these corporate handouts costing regular working people in Florida? Well, every time we give money away to a corporation, we're taking money away from everyday people. Corporations like Disney get what they want. In the Orlando area, we have children that are picked up for school at hotels and motels because they are homeless or precariously housed. So even our kids are experiencing the consequences of a fragile economy that's purely based on not just tourism, but exploitation of workers. There are so many Floridians, like my own family, who live near the most magical place on earth, and yet they don't even get to experience any of that magic. We could use over $500 million to completely eliminate the APD waitlist. The Agency for Persons with Disabilities has a waitlist of over 20,000 people who sometimes die on the waitlist because they never are able to access services. Yearly, the $30 million that Disney would be getting could be spent to hire 400 teachers every year. One reason why we have an affordable housing crisis is because the state of Florida has raided the Affordable Housing Trust Funds for years. And in Central Florida, where families are already living paycheck to paycheck, and now are facing eviction and are facing a lack of supply when it comes to affordable housing. Governor Ron DeSantis acts like he's a fiscal conservative, and yet he has been one of the biggest politicians to continue to consent to corporate tax breaks, including for companies like Disney. In fact, during the pandemic, Governor Ron DeSantis approved a $500 million refund that went to the state's largest corporations, including Walt Disney World. He's picking winners and losers, and he is robbing the people of Florida by giving corporate tax breaks out and robbing everyday people of the same types of benefits.